As this handsome gentleman pointed out to me recently, there's something we're all quite high on right now. And with good reason too. Between the Dominion Eos box, the Beastsnagga's box, Killteam Octarius, and diehard Stargrave fans that really want to run orky Stargrave crews, there's a lot going on in the world of orcs right now to excite us and get us into this faction. But could some of this also be a cause maybe for apprehension? If you're a fan of this channel, you'll have no doubt by now heard me banging on about how I've always struggled to find an orc workup that looks good but doesn't take all the time in the world to pull off. And that's especially important for building an army or even a team. You want a cohesive look across all of those miniatures, and you still want them to look great, so you really need to have something that ticks those boxes. But don't worry, because I've gone to work and figured out 3 different methods for painting orc skin that will not only satisfy your need for speed, but will definitely leave you with an army or a kill team that looks absolutely great. We're going to be using a ton of different techniques for this video, so please bear that in mind, and if any of them are new to you or unfamiliar, there'll be plenty of other places, both on this channel and elsewhere on YouTube, where you can find extra information on them. So, shall we get stuck in? Method 1 is a contrast paint method, and we'll start this out just by applying an all-over coat of moot green. You can use a brush over a white undercoat if you like, or you can be like me and cheat and whip out Mr. Squirty here and get it done even quicker. And over that it's orc flesh contrast, and we want to get that over literally every single bit of the skin. Just be careful with this stuff, because on your flatter areas it loves to blob up on the surfaces and go uneven, so to avoid any issues, just wiggle it about with a damp brush, and if and when it pulls on the surfaces, that'll kind of help you keep that under control. And then we're just going to use a couple of thin layers of moot green lightened with a bit of white. And I just want to pass in a couple of quick highlights here. You may even decide that you don't feel this is necessary, but I think it's nice to have a bit of top end. The white is quite important because it desaturates things a bit, prevents that moot green from just looking a bit too acidic, which is a thing that paint is wont to do. But finished up, this is what method 1 gets us, and I wouldn't be mad seeing a whole army looking like this. Method 2 is just using a very simple 2-colour layer. So we're going to start from a base here of this forest green from Reaper Master Series, and the only other colour we're going to use in this whole workup is this here pale saffron, also from Reaper Master Series, and maybe a dab of white depending on what mood I'm in. To achieve this workup, all I'm going to do is create some consecutively smaller, brighter layers just by adding more pale saffron into the forest green and layering up over and over and over and over again. As the layers get brighter and brighter, I'll keep making them smaller and smaller, but a neat trick I'm also going to do is to actually let the paint get thicker each time it gets lighter by not adding any additional water. So our first dilution will be the only dilution we do. This helps keep our highlights bright and fully saturated, but it lets our darker shadows and our midtones blend together a little bit more. I decided to go with 5 layers here, which might be a bit much for a full army, but the last couple of layers are so quick to apply that I think it's probably fine. And again, for characters you could go with 7 or 9 layers maybe, and keep them closer to each other so the colours blend easier. But after 5 layers we get this result, and interestingly enough, this was actually the workup that was pointed out to me as a good reason to even do an orc skin tutorial, so I really hope you like it. Method 3 is employing an oil wash. Now I deliberately saved this one till last to snare you into watching as much of the video as possible before you hear the word oil and click off. But I beg you to bear with me and come back, because not only is this the fastest method of the 3 that I'm showing today, but it's also the easiest, and the results are no slouch either. We're going to start out here just by base coating our boy with Death Guard Green from Games Workshop. Now if my Death Guard Green looks a little bit different to yours, it's because I put a bit of this matte medium into it to take away from the satin finish. So we'll slap this mixture all over and just let it dry thoroughly, nice and straightforward at this stage. Now quickly onto the scary part, some blue, green oil paint and some black oil paint and a few drops of cheap white spirit from B&Q. Mix it all up and congratulations, you've just made an oil wash. It's really that easy. Lather it all over your orc and marvel at how it seeks out the cracks and crevices way better than an acrylic wash. Now this is actually the part where most people get a bit upset with oils. You have to let that wash dry, and if you do so naturally, it can take hours, even days, depending on how dilute the wash is. We don't really want any of that though. We have a water paint, so we'll just blast it with a hairdryer. And yeah, that actually works, just blasting it with a hairdryer. So now we have a dried oil wash, and we can come back in with a brush that's been dampened with some white spirit and just start subtracting that oil paint. We can kind of flood surfaces with a relatively large amount of spirit to get them almost totally clean, or we can go slowly and just use little swirly motions to diffuse the edges and make micro adjustments to where the paint sits. And once we have that to a decent enough spot that we're happy with, we just blast it with a hairdryer again. And then a bit of matte varnish once that's dry as well, and that's going to leave you with a surface that can basically be painted on as if it were any other mini that's been painted with acrylics. Post oil wash, I normally like to do at least one stage of highlight. You are starting from a brighter base colour here to help mitigate the need for a lengthy workup, but a little tickle on the top end definitely helps things. So here I just smashed some really pale yellow into that Death Guard green just to work up some final highlight. And after the finishing touches, that's your completed oil wash workup. Not really that scary at all, and I cannot stress enough just how easy this method is. If you've been worried about trying this, I really urge you not to be. So that's 3 very quick, very easy ways to batch paint your orc skin. Add to that some straightforward metals and some easy leather workups, and you'll have yourself a complete army in no time that looks really good. So if, like me, you are fully on the orc hype train right now, drop a comment below and let me know what army you're going to be collecting, or what type of orcs you're going to be collecting, and which game you want to use them for. For me, I'll be making up the rest of the 3D printed bodies to go with these Special Forces orcs, and I'm going to use them for a Stargrave crew that will also double up as a kill team when the new edition comes out. However, one problem I may have is I might be a bit spoiled for choice for which way I want to paint them now. What method is your favourite of these 3 that I've shown today? And until next time folks, I'd like to thank you very, very much for watching. Please don't forget to do things with thumbs and bells and all of that stuff, and do check the links in the description as well if you wish to support the channel, because that really, really helps us out. And so it's time for me to say that I will see you in the next one folks. Bye bye for now.